was the closest.
Yeah, and it's good though. We're quite an eclectic bunch. We've all come from different parts of the country and all quite different people. And I think that's sort of our idea of this. So I was going to say thank you to Dawn and Steve, but they're vanished. So we'll say that after, because that's obviously they've done this for. They normally hire this place out for events and things like that. And obviously they charge. So this is more of an introductory thing, because Steve has for those that you don't know, Steve has a sort of interest in this sort of area and wants to expand this sort of area, anything to do with the whole UFO thing, contact thing, and that's his sort of area that he's looking to expand a little bit on. So this is this was meant to be a trial event for seeing how things worked out for the whole idea of skywatching and contact and discussion of that sort of thing, as we'll see in a minute when I go through a few slides. So this was a trial event for that. So you sort of turned up as a trial group, and although we've had the schedule a bit switched around, we'll see how we go tonight and what happens and how we all get on as a group, and whether this actually goes ahead then and becomes a bigger thing. Because of course C.E.5 in the States is quite big. They do their events, although Greer charges a lot for these sort of things. I think he's doing one over here at the moment, Stephen Greer's, sort of £3,500 a person to come and do I think it's a long weekend or a week. It's something, I don't know whether it's more, but it's a huge amount per person to do that. So I've discussed this with Steve, and he's sort of prepared to use this venue, and of course not just charge a minimum and not charge anywhere near that amount to try and get this sort of thing kicked off. There's also more groups that have started off in the UK called C.E.5, C.E.5, which I forget what that stands for. So this whole idea of contact and C.E.5, as you'll see, is sort of start to take off. So we're sort of a trial. This is meant to be a trial run for that sort of thing. So because we're a mixed bunch, I know a lot of you are sort of quite up on the whole UFO, ex-politics, consciousness sort of thing, and a few people are a bit less sort of experienced. We can go around and introduce. Does everyone want to do that first? Do you want us to go and say who you are, or do you want to just carry on? Do you want to do a quick intro to say where everyone's from? Or does everyone introduce themselves?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, it might be more useful. Do you want to start? You can just give your name or say where you're from, and then at least everyone has an introduction, and perhaps say a bit about what your interests are. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'll say some stuff. My name's Ladrin, if anyone doesn't know. Son of Dawn and Steve. I've been interested in sort of the spiritual sort of path for the last over 10 years. Been doing lots of research and certain certificates. So I'm qualified in paranormal investigation and parapsychology. Been a healer for a few years also, and also a trance medium, and I've had some sort of ET contact since I was very young, and I remember I was sort of hiding under my sheets in my bed when I was about 7 years old, and I could feel this being next to me in the room, and I always used to hide under the sheets, hold my breath, and what's that? No, something's in here, because I'm quite sensitive and also do mediumship too. So the last sort of few years I've been sort of delving into sort of trance mediumship and meditation, etc., and always seen through my third eye spirits, etc. And then years and years back I saw an alien at the beach, and I thought, there's an alien at the beach, because I saw the typical sort of eyes and everything, and later turned out to be my guide who I work with in trance. So I've done a lot of research in the UFO sort of area, especially in lines of Billy Mayer. Have you heard of him? Yeah, I really like his stuff, his work. A lot of the conspiracy stuff, but it's more so from a parapsychology point of view, is taking on board what is actually truth and what isn't. You need to find evidence of what's actually out there. So I'm really digging this. It's really cool, and actually finding some evidence or something there, rather than hearing the typical conspiracy theory, the hollow earth theory and all this other stuff. It's good to actually find some scientific sort of knowledge and evidence to put not against, but for this. So, we can share this and spread this and get more people involved. So, enjoy learning a lot more from all of you and this event. So,
Thank you.
Well,
that's it really. I'll just say, so yes, I'm David, interested in shamanism, and then moved that into sort of the UFO field and black budgets, that sort of thing, and then set up the UK Ex-Politics Initiative in 2005, which has sort of grown globally. But my issue, if you know a bit what Ex-Politics is about, the formal disclosure of the extraterrestrial presence and about its impact on a political and societal level. But within that, it tends to have, all the leaders in the field tend to have a bit of a view that this is all about pressure on the White House or number 10 Downing Street, a file release from the MOD, that sort of thing. And my big thing is to try and bring in a few more angles, especially to do with the contactee issue, an issue of personal contact from contactees and experiences, but also what we as individuals think of as an alien contact or experience, and to try and get that into the whole issue of exopolitics, because I think without it you can't just function on this one level of it's pressuring the state to sort of disclose. Disclosure takes place on many levels, including we all have personal disclosures. And what works on a personal level can then also work with the state, and I'm a firm believer in trying all these things from many levels, and that includes individually. And part of this process of us all meeting was to sort of empower a small group of people and to sort of give people permission, using a platform of perhaps contact and investigating contact, to perhaps get into the wider issues of what contact is, which then of course can take you to a political level. If you empower yourself personally, then you're then empowered to sort of act politically in the wider sense, or the more classical sense of what we call politics. But I, for one, don't ever believe that any politician is going to disclose anything to do with the ET presence. I think that's a complete hiding to nothing, and I think it will come from a grassroots level where it'll just be a consciousness flip, and literally things will change very rapidly, and that's part of what this is pushing on towards, these sort of events, I think. So I'll whip through these slides a little quickly. Steve's going to come, I think he comes back and say something about the whole remote viewing thing, because that fits into what we're doing. And Steve recently went to America and spent some time with Joe McMoneagle, who is one of the experts of remote viewing, but he one of his specialities is remote viewing anomalous phenomena, which a lot of remote viewers don't get involved in. They do very practical targets to do with Russian bases and that sort of thing, if you know a bit about remote viewing. So Steve will come and say a bit about that, and we might try a bit of that later on. So I put that at sort of 9 p.m. All we'll do, if we have a quick discussion now, go through these slides, go through what C.E.5 contact is, and then we've got some meditation to do called coherent thought sequencing, which will be me ripping off Greer's stuff, and we can play it in the roundhouse. And then around about 10 p.m, if we haven't got too much cloud, because all this is weather dependent. Although Bridget made a good point when I spoke to her on the phone, of course, that contact can take place in any shape or form, and contact doesn't have to be a saucer coming over in the sky, and that's classically how we see sort of contact taking place. If you've got close encounters, it's saucers coming from the sky, but of course it can take place, and Bridget might tell us about her experience with the gazebo as the little kids that was there that invited her to look at this gazebo, and that was a form of contact which turned out to be, it may have been a saucer, but also was many other things. And so contact takes place in many forms, and that's why I'm quite pleased that we've got such a wide variety of people here from different backgrounds, including B, who of course has had contacts, and Resh has had significant contact experience as well. So let's whiz through some of these. So most of you will know some of this, but for those that don't, it's just a quick background in basically what we're trying to do. Right, I don't know if we're going to... We've lost the bottom of my slide. I don't know. I think that's an adjustment with this, which I can't be bothered with. So, yeah, is there anybody out there? A quick point that we did a conference in 2000, I think that was 2011, and on the last... This is talking about intention and what can sort of happen with intention. And is anyone listening out there? And essentially on the last day of the event, that's been the logo since 2005-06. That's been the logo for the UK Exopolitics Initiative, which is called the Merkaba symbol. It's a hyper-dimensional physics sort of geometry, which we stole from Richard Hoagland, and although he in turn nicked it, of course. And then on the very last day, when we were all heading back from this conference, this was a weekend conference. On the very last day, there was a report on a Sunday as we were all driving back that that very shape on the last day of the conference had arrived a huge crop circle in a field, and that hasn't got the perspective on. There's several of the shots, and you'll see the size of this thing next to a juggernaut. It was huge and vast. So again, that may have been a prank by the military-industrial complex, who were playing with a satellite and thought they'd zap it down into a cornfield, or it may have been some other intelligences. I don't know. But that's the whole idea of, is anyone listening, or the whole idea that reality, the stuff that we're discussing is important, and it does resonate on some level, because it then gets sort of duplicated in this weird hyperdimensional way into reality, from a symbol into a cornfield.
That also happened with Greer's symbol.
I've forgotten that. I did, of course, Greer's, do you know Greer's symbol, which I have got a bit later. I've got to skip through it. Greer's symbol for C.E.5, which is his group that does exactly what we're trying to do. Also right in a cornfield. I think they meditated on that. They didn't have an idea of a logo, did they, at that point? And suddenly in the field in the morning they had this logo. You'll see it in a minute, which has got the 3 balls and a triangle on. So that happened with Greer as well. So obviously something's going on. That's 2 situations which are a bit, you know, if you count the odds on something like that happening, in one out of 365 days. Okay, again, just what I mentioned about this whole idea of what is contact? When does contact with? We know there are. Exopolitics skips this part. We know there are intelligent entities out there. We know that there is some intelligent that is sort of monitoring this planet and engaging with us on some level. That the level at which they sort of do that varies depending on whether you're a contactee or what sort of thing, or whether you spot. You're into trace cases of UFOs landing and leaving deposits on the ground. So your whole idea of what contact is changes. Again, exopolitics, the main UFO people are always, and the skeptics are all saying, they talk about the White House lawn. Ironically, though, of course, they've already been to the White House because that was 1952, and that was a fleet of something or other that was flying over. If that was extraterrestrial, flying over the White House in 1952. So it's about this wider approach to contact, and we've all got our own idea of what contact is. Yeah, so the official methods represented, of course, at the moment by the citizen hearing that is on at the moment. So most of you know about the Disclosure Project that happened in 2001. Yeah, Disclosure Project. So Stephen Greer, huge events that did really well and made a big impact on people for bringing military witnesses into the public sphere before the press, etc. And basically, many of them broke their security oaths and spoke about the fact that they'd retrieved alien bodies, got craft, radar contacts, all this sort of stuff. And there's another one going on at the moment. So at the same time we're doing, this sort of group, and other people are out trying their contacting on this sort of grassroots individual level. Then there's a fairly big global thing going on at the press club again in Washington. I've yet to check in on how that's all doing. I think hopefully the videos will be out soon. I couldn't get the video stream to work. I don't know if anyone tried that. They were doing a live video stream from the hearing. So yeah, interesting point that when I was discussing this with Steve and with a few other people, and had about 60 people who wanted to come down to this event. Many people couldn't come because of the distance when they found out where it was, but a lot of the reason that we sort of shrunk it down to these numbers was because many people were just interested in the more basic form of sky watching. In other words, so you go out with your night vision stuff and you stand and you stare at the sky and you wait for something to turn up, and really the idea is that, well, you can do that virtually anywhere. And I think because we've got access to this sort of venue and things, we wanted to try something a little bit different. So spoke to a lot of people who've turned up today and basically tried to get people that were a bit more interested in doing something a bit different. And the whole idea of that is to create a series of repeatable protocols or a system. Is there something that we can do that perhaps embed some of the work that Richard was talking about with the people that he's got at his conference, the whole idea of consciousness. How can you create a system where you amplify consciousness as individuals and as a group that then sends a signal out that you want communication with these entities that are out there? And going back to the White House lawn situation, of course, many people say, well, why don't ETs show themselves on the White House lawn? Well, the fact is they've already shown up and demonstrated many things. There's all sorts of rumours out there that they've given us eco technology. They've given us new energy technology, all of which seems to be the case. And then the cabals that are literally strangulating this planet have then used that technology for themselves and kept it closeted. There are numerous examples of where that's happened, and energy, as you know, free energy inventors that have been terminated with extreme prejudice, that sort of thing. So it's trying to create a series of protocols that we can then use to sort of empower a community. Is it possible then to use this system to start this communication? Because my personal belief is now that the planet's going in a strange direction, and it's more down to us to start this communication, we have to actually ask for the contact, and until part of asking for the contact is part of the process of them actually coming down and initiating whatever that dialogue is between us and them.